Hey everybody, so I got this thing all set up, and this is like if you had your L.I.F.E viewer set up here and frequencies are running through the auxiliary, and you got your tripod set up, and you got your pan down there and some rings going, and then out in the back behind on the back of the L.I.F.E viewer there's a switch and a speaker hookup. That will go to this cable that comes with the bubble cymatics that will look like an RCA cable that attaches to it. It'll also come with auxiliary to quarter and one for the speaker wire too if you want to do it that way. So that will go into there. That's the volume control for the bubble, and this will go out of here and into this amplifier here. And then this is the output right here that goes into the bubble unit, which I have over here filming on the TV. And then in the back there's another speaker hookup for this box to be hooked up with a second stackable speaker on top for doing stackable cymatics, kind of with bubbles. So if you wanted this one off, excuse me, if you wanted this one off, you would just turn the switch in the back off, and you would be no volume will come out of here. But if you wanted to do a cymatic and the bubble at the same time, you can control the cymatic first, which is about right there. I'm using the microscope light right now, so you can see that's kind of like a kind of an interesting little, turn up the light. There we go. So that will be that image, and I'll leave that for a second while I show you guys how. I'm going to turn this one up now. This is to control the bubble now, which is on the TV. Which let's see if we can turn this down and then turn the bubble up itself. Same frequency. And don't use honey in your mix. That was not a good idea. And here we go with pretty much what this bubble is trying to do. See some of the outside light is coming through. At least if I turn my other light off, if it's better. Yeah, that's better. So you could see that this is the bubble at the same frequency, and we still have this one going over here, so you could have both at the same time. You can get a projection of both of these, one off your phone and one off the camera itself. Let's see if you hold the camera at different angles of the bubble, like that's directly almost above it where the camera's pointing. We're kind of blocking out some of the light, but you get the idea. You can kind of get different weird angles. And this is a flat bubble. This is one of the attachments that it will come with. And you see, I'll show you if this pops. I'll show you what you have to do. This is the mix. 3 parts glycerin, 2 parts corn syrup, don't add honey, and 1 part dish soap. And you can see some very interesting effects. You can mess with this volume and it won't mess up the cymatics on the other side, so they're separated. This is like more amplification. You see some of the bubbles are popping out right now through the top. They'll actually like shoot out of there. If you turn it down, this gets bigger. Right there, in the TV. So that is, I believe, 18 hertz playing. Yep, so we're running it off the little frequency generator here. 18 hertz sine wave. I got videos on how to set that up and the L.I.F.E viewer itself. And we'll set the phone back here and we'll change the frequency to 19 hertz. And now you see kind of a star. Seems like it needs to be turned down a little bit. As the frequencies get higher, you got to turn them down. Some will require less water in the pan, and some will require a little bit more, depending on what size you're using. Right now I'm using the 50 millimeter pan. Needs a little more amplification. So let's get some more light on that. You can see how the light just kind of messes with it and starts making it move around. It's not so much the water that's moving technically, but it is. But if you turn it down, you get more of a still image. Not messing, it's kind of like matching the frequencies of the light to the to the frames per second. So that's an interesting, weird three-part kind of. This is a weird frequency. It has a weird amount of numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It does some weird, interesting things. The bubble doesn't look as interesting. Let me see if I turn it down. Alright, the bubble's got a cool cross pattern. And this is the bubble. If you amplify the bubble more, you can kind of capture this twisting effect sometimes with certain frequencies. Not particularly this one. If you amplify it too much, you'll pop the bubble. But they are pretty resilient. Let's put this back over here real quickly. And go up to 20 hertz. So 20 hertz is more like the cross pattern. See how it shifts when I'm adding more light? If I add a lot too much light, it'll make the image look weird like that. But you turn the light down and you can get way more detail. Probably a little less amplification. And I'm using the frequency generator itself to control the amplifier over there. So that's a pretty interesting thing. And I'll turn up the bubble, see what it's doing. So it's doing this cool thing where it shifts with these cool patterns. If I capture it right, it will start to do like a weird spin or twisting spin, usually like this. If I turn my light up, let's see if that helps. Same thing with this, when you turn up your light or turn it down, you'll get a little bit more dimension with less light. See that? Don't know if my other light is hooked up. Let's see if it is. So that's adding the open LED or the colored LED. And the other light comes with this too. So both these lights that I'm using are exactly identical. If I were to turn down the light and shine it here, it would probably look pretty cool too. Come back over here. We still got a good stable standing wave. So it's pretty nice. If I go up to 21 now, I'll start to making some weird fluctuations again. This one has a colored light too. That's not the colored part. There it is. Cool because you can mix the three lights all together. You know, make weirder patterns like that by making them more bright. And you take the light out and you can turn down the microscope light pretty dim and then get that to kind of start messing with the colored lighting. Still haven't changed the volume, we're just changing the lights and you can see how much it just looks different. So you could see that's kind of like a divided pattern. And the bubble's kind of doing the same thing. It's got a little divided pattern too. And we'll amplify that. Like I said, if you get the amplification just right, you get pretty cool effects out of it. You guys have probably seen some of my videos where these things start spinning around, and it will happen when I go higher in frequencies. And if you get the phone like far away, you can capture different angles. There's so many things you can do with the bubble. And this is just the flat bubble. The rounded bubble you put in a pan, you can do different lighting techniques and all kinds of stuff. If you put a diffusing back on the LED, because this one's not on, it will make more of a flatter rainbowy. Sometimes you capture the surface movement instead of this movement. So it's interesting that that's doing that and that's doing that. And I'm going to turn this one up a little bit. Take that off and go up to 22 hertz. Need to turn down a little. See, watch how much I'm just barely amplifying it right around there. And you got to center your light so you can get a perfect geometry if you want, like that right there. And then you got to turn it down a tiny bit. I'm just using my iPhone for this. If you turn up the light too much, it'll make for some cool pictures, but not so much for the video. For video, you want to try to get that lighting a little bit balanced out. I can tell that this frequency is a tad bit loud. When it starts moving around like that, it's not perfectly balanced. Some frequencies will do that, but 22 hertz should be stabilized for the most part. It's probably the lighting that keeps on messing with it. I have a feeling it is. So the bubble is acting cool too. It's changing too. That center implosion is my favorite part. How that's twisting around. So yeah, it's pretty fun to look at both things at the same time. That's kind of why I did this, is because I wanted to be able to make a kit that, you know, you don't get bubbles all over. And you can get bubbles all over that because it's completely waterproof. So it's kind of cool. It's more stable frequency right here at 23 hertz. Let's see what the bubble's doing. Same thing with the bubbles. Often you might want to turn the volume all the way down on it and then re-amplify it. And I'll take this over to the bubble. And we'll take a look at that. So I'll start to amplify this one. Just the same way, you just barely amplify it to let it do its thing for a minute. This one more is going to have the ability to pop the bubble. You can see it's moving a lot. We'll continue amplifying it. Really amplifying it a lot. It can get louder. I don't know what setting I'm on. I think I'm on the bass setting, so sorry. And come back over here and change it one more time. Still got a good standing wave there. Like I said, you can have your phone on one, a camera with the monitor on the other, have another HDMI thing coming out of your phone going into a splitter, so you can have two images on one screen. See how my light's off right there? You want to make sure that your light is centered. It looked like it would go one way, but in reality you got to go towards, pull the tripod towards the lighted area, like more like right like that. And then since it's like that, I'd put a popsicle stick or a little piece of paper or something underneath my phone to hold it right there like that. In this case, I'll use this little handy dandy razor blade. And then we'll amplify this. That's one of the weirder frequencies that doesn't, it just kind of doubles itself out like that. The bubbles fluctuating with a two pattern kind of divided up. Let's try amplifying it. Let's turn this down. Oh, okay, there we go. So I just amplified it a tiny bit and did that. And the bubble's doing kind of a cool thing. Wow, that's doing some cool stuff. So the bubble's doing this. If I amplify it, and it's a good idea to put your little viewer on a cloth or something, because you got to scrape underneath here with a popsicle stick all the suds, because you're going to blow up the bubble in the middle and then you're going to pop it underneath and then it pops to a flat bubble. So you're going to want to make sure you have a good towel there, because this is messy. It is not a clean experiment. Interesting. This is still kind of feel like a little bit too loud. Right there, it's more like as stable as that will get. Which brought the bubble back to its other thing it was doing. So I'm going to turn this down a tiny bit more and go up to 25 hertz. Let's give it a second. I haven't done anything. See, it needs to turn down just a tiny bit more. Well, back up a little bit. That was a little too much. It's so delicate when you get to some of these frequencies. They're really fine how much they'll show like a change, like from imbalance to balance, with just a tiny bit of amplification. And I'll amplify the bubble. Bubble's making a pretty stable pattern. you can hear the frequency coming off the speaker. This is why you need, for bubbles, you need a way stronger speaker. If I turn this light off, it's just my microscope light now. Get a little bit more detail of what's going on. It's not moving around as much, which is cool. I turn it down, you can kind of see how it's forming itself. Amplifying it again. Amplifying it a lot. Like the whole bubble thing. This is 26 hertz. Oh, this video is getting long, I better stop. It's 26. Just like a weird triangle kind of image, but not. It's kind of a weird one, that one. So it's definitely a frequency that's just pretty much divided directly right down the center. Change the frequency. So I'm trying to hold my phone, it's kind of harder. If I turn this one down, it may go back to that shape, yeah. Sometimes if you turn it down, you'll see that you didn't need all that amplification. You could have been getting cooler stuff with way less amplification. Amplifying it again. Interesting. That's 29 hertz. It's 30 hertz. this on the low setting. This is a sub-bass setting. Try this on the high setting. No, that's not good. Mid-range is pretty good. So that one kind of changes at 32 hertz. You see as I go higher, they'll start to get smaller. Well, there goes the bubble. So I guess that means I'm going to show you how to do it. Hopefully people waited. Alright, definitely can't have the volume on when you do the bubble. You want to make sure your mix is pretty stirred up but not so sudsy. Like when you first do it, it gets real sudsy and it's better to let it sit. This is a 3/4 pipe, thin wall PVC, and then this is going to be wet, and then it'll pop, and it'll pop a bunch of times. Sometimes you got to get it wet again. And this is where you have to learn patience, because this is not the easy part. But you see the bubble lasted us 30 minutes, so this is the pain in the ass part. Alright, so now we got the round bubble. But look, I got all that crap in there. So this is where you take the popsicle stick and you pop this bubble down here, make it a flat bubble. And you kind of scrape this off. And this is where you need the rag right next to it and make a big mess. And do the same thing to the other side. So you get that off. And you get yourself a nice clean black surface again. So when you're filming, it looks all nice. See that? This is see if this will go to 7 hertz. Go to the sub-bass setting. Actually, yeah. You can control it with the amplification on the frequency generator and watch the bubble pop on you. So they don't always last. So you know, beware of the bubble. If you want the information, it takes patience. But usually when you get it, it will go again pretty quickly. Like you can get the bubble to, we can use the bubble at round, which is better in a pan. But and frequencies around, let's just start with 12 hertz. And you want your light a little bit closer too. You don't want your light as far away, like it makes just that little circle. vase setting. This thing is making a hideous sound because my amplifier is turned up and this is turned down, so we're going to turn this up. Take that out. And we're going to zoom in. And usually I put a black surface behind it. So you see that it wasn't that big of a circle that we're looking at. It's a lot harder to get on this camera for some reason. Let's see if I turn down my light more. There we go. The bubble went flat on me. You mess with your lighting on your phone, you can get those things. This is the side view of the flat bubble. Which is actually making some cool stuff on the TV. This is 12 hertz. It almost is going to do that spinning thing real fast here. Just amplifying it a little more. You can see it starting to want to do it. So maybe if we go to like 13 hertz. Nope, definitely not 13 hertz. It's definitely 12 hertz that wants to do it. I'm going to turn up my light a little. Down, turn it up. You get those cool colors from the prism effect on the bubble. I'm just using the white light, just the microscope light by itself. And I'll adjust the phone lighting by turning that down like that. And get some good images that way. Sorry, my phone's all over the place because I had to do everything by hand. So amplifying it doesn't help it as much. But just getting it right there is kind of cool. Maybe try 11 hertz. So 11 hertz. Just barely amplify it. See if I turn it all the way down. I'm going to barely amplify it. You also want your light as much centered as possible. It's a lot harder on a bubble because the surface isn't exactly that straight. And that's 10 hertz. You see the 10 hertz in water makes a star. That's what I did the 3D print of. We turn this up. Not going to do much. just right. So we can go lower to 9 hertz. Break anything. It's 8 hertz. This is where you can collapse the center if you turn it up just right. Go down to 7. Not much coming out of 7. Sometimes you gotta turn it down though and turn it back up. Let's try 6. Wants to do something. Five hertz. You know, like 4 hertz, 3 hertz, and 2 hertz, and 1 hertz always make these weird high frequency sounds. The speaker's not technically designed for it. That's the sub-bass setting at 4 hertz. Turning down 3 hertz. Yeah, 3 hertz. this right off. Pretty much how a torus works. Stop this, 46 darn minutes. All right, everybody.